citizens, ladies, gentlemen, honorable guests, of those 17 battles fought during the Civil War, the most decisive battle fought, not a major victory, but a lost opportunity, was on September 17, 1862 at Antietam. And because of a solemn vow and oath, a covenant I'd made, meaning if he would give victory to forces just been fought on the 17th, I'd consider it my duty to move forward and free those slaves. 5 days later, I held a cabinet meeting, and I placed on the table the Emancipation Proclamation enabling all those slaves to be set free, held in the Rebellion and Union to be set free. Horace Greeley of the New York Tribune got a hold of that script. He said, "Mr. Lincoln, you made a terrible mistake." And I said, "I may be a slow walker, but I don't walk backwards." And then, of course, we know what happened the next year, July 1, 2, and 3 in 1863. Over 48 to 51,000 people have been killed or wounded, and the blood was running down the corn rows. And they said there's got to be something done in honor of all those who had gallantly given their lives on both sides. So I was called upon to give a few closing comments at the dedication, New National Soldier Cemetery, to be dedicated November the 19th, 1863. So the morning of the 18th, I left Washington to travel to Gettysburg. It's really too noisy and too crowded for me really to complete that speech in the train. Arrived in Gettysburg that evening, and there was many of your ancestors and relatives that view the remains of the fallen comrades. And amongst them was the keynote speaker, Mr. Edward Evart. I finished my speech. The next morning I rode out to the cemetery ridge, and there was all them relatives, all your relatives, restless. So suppose for a moment we're all standing at the top of the dirt road. And everywhere we were there was evidence of death where I was sitting on the wooden platform. Look out, see those coffins laying in silent formation under the trees. The top of the trees, the limbs was broken. The ground was ripped up where the lead balls had missed their target. Way in the distance, as far as you could see, were skeletons of horses and the stench, and all you could hear was the band music wavering in the wind. Now, half an hour before Mr. Evart arrived, I sort of wandered over the battlefield to arrange my thoughts. And I didn't know what to say. The North was saying up here, why did it happen? The South was saying, why did they not leave us alone? There was no pat answer. But then I thought to myself, folks, what is honor? Is honor worth dying for? Is honor and integrity worth giving up your lives? It used to be honor was everything. Is it important today? You and your conscience must answer that. And then while Mr. Evart sat down, I stepped beyond the speaker stand as I see the tears streaming down the cheeks because the loved ones they lost my mind. Back when I too lost my mother at a very early age, we had seeing how God develops character out of what we struggle much. Well, my inspiration enabled me to pen those words in your books yet today, 80. And 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated the proposition that all men are created equal. Now, we're engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met at a great battlefield of that war. We have come here to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave of their lives, that that nation might live. It's altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, folks, we cannot dedicate. We cannot consecrate. We cannot handle this ground. The brave men living and dead who struggled here have consecrated far above our forefathers' land and betrayed. The world will little know, no longer remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated right here to the finished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It's rather for us folks to be here dedicated this evening to the great task, remaining before us from these honored dead. we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave of the last full measure of the Lord. That we, here highly resolved that these dead shall not have dynamite destination under God, shall have a new birth of freedom. And that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from this earth. Folks, 100 years before the Civil War, there was a man by the name of John Newton, who was a captain on a slave ship, who was responsible for bringing at least one load, being a wretched man, responsible for bringing at least one load of human cargo chained to the hold of his ship to be sold in Charleston Harbor. But only to discover he too had to be set free. But that was by the great emancipator. That's what he sound and penned those words, amazing. So in closing, folks, I want to thank you all for a magnificent welcome, and I bid you an affectionate farewell.